It's a great day to be a coyote. Welcome, Coyote Nation, to another episode of Back to Pack Podcast, where we are going to be bringing you all of your favorite games, memories, and of course, discussion with our fellow coyotes. As a disclaimer, we have no affiliation to the University of South Dakota. This is a podcast ran by fans for fans. The ideas and comments do not represent the university. Our opinions are our own. Be sure to find us on Twitter at Back to Pack SD. With that being said, let's jump in. All right, what's going on, Grant? How you doing?
Doing well, doing well. It's D-Days week. I'm excited. So not getting ready for game day here, right around the corner.
Exactly. And you know what? It has been an absolute blast doing these shows with you,
hmm
but it's D-Days. And there's been something missing in my mind, don't you think?
I agree.
So I think it's time we bring Mitch to the show. Mitch,
I'm
welcome
back.
back.
He is back.
Feels good to be back, fellas. How are you?
It's good to have you back. He's fun. He's a lot of fun, but it's good to have all three of us together.
Heck yeah, the band's all back together.
That's right. The more, the merrier. Absolutely.
Okay, Grant, I just now noticed it though. You need to stand up. I need to see
Oh
your
yeah.
shirt.
Oh yeah. This is a custom shirt here. This is the
Oh,
Wile E. Coyote
That
Go
is
Yote shirt.
awesome.
So
I
my
love that.
my sister has a business where she does screen printing and shirts, and I can't remember where I saw it or somebody had a picture of Wiley, and I said, "Ooh, I got to have that holding the Go Yote shirt." But yeah, I was hoping somebody's going to notice that, so I'm glad you pointed out.
I thought you were wearing a name tag at first.
Right,
That's all I
right.
can see.
It looks like it.
Yeah, just a Go Yote's name tag is all.
Uh,
It's fine.
That's
And Mitch, you
awesome.
know what? Your biggest fan is here too. Yote fan was the one asking where you were at. He was the one
That's
missing
true.
you. So
Hey,
make sure you give him
I
a big
love
shout out.
I love Yote fan. Shout out Yote fan.
All right. So, guys, it's D-Day's Thursday. When folks are listening to this on their way to work, it's Friday. I truly hope you are not focused on work tomorrow and you are struggling with it because it's D-Days.
Oh man. And it's Thirsty Thursday in Vermilion, so you know the students are getting after it.
I was just about to say that in college, I would not be sitting doing a podcast on a Thursday night before D-Days. I can tell you that. So you're
Right.
100% right on that.
Right. Oh man. I'm excited. I feel like a kid on like Christmas Eve, right? We're so close to the big event here.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean it's hard not to be excited, especially with this team. It's like we come on here twice a week and we're just gushing about how good this team is, right? But it's hard not to. The results are uh, undeniable at this point, and
hmm
um, we talked about it a little bit, but we'll have a team in UNI that's coming to the dome. That's, I would say, down a little bit. They've had a tough road, but I still have a lot of confidence in the Coyotes. I know we'll get into the details around UNI here, but it should be good. Should be a good game on Saturday.
I was doing my research, getting prepared for this conversation, and I think I texted you guys that if it wasn't for UNI, I'd call UND, I think, the biggest frauds of this season. But I truly feel like UNI is just a shell of their former selves at this point.
Yeah,
So I'm
definitely.
curious if they're thinking maybe it's time to move on from Farley. I don't know. We can get into it.
Yeah, there's some interest. You bring up a good point. I jokingly said this to another one of my Coyote fan friends. I said, you and I's hurt our feelings a lot in the past, and I say the past,
Yeah.
10 years, right? Where
hmm
we've got some good butt kickings both at our place and there. So
hmm
it's hard to, you see that logo and you see the success they've had historically, but it's just not panning out this year. Now I will say the schedule they put themselves in this year has done them no favors,
Right.
right? I mean, we were talking about it just prior to this, but you have two games that, in my opinion, are kind of warm up games with Valparaiso and St. Thomas, although that St. Thomas game was much closer than I'm sure they would have liked it to be. But you have to hit the road and go down to Lincoln for a rowdy, excited crowd with what's going on down there. Then you get on a
hmm
plane and fly to the middle of the Pacific Ocean and play Hawaii at the Big Island. And then you finally get to come home, and who's waiting for you? Oh, it's South Dakota State, who just won a national championship. So the results are bad, especially offensively. I
Mhm.
know we'll talk about it, but I think who they've played in their schedule maybe dictates a little bit more of that than what I initially thought as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and look at it before Nebraska too, with Valparaiso and St. Thomas. You're going toe to toe with St. Thomas, a non-scholarship school. And these are teams that are on the same level as Drake. They're going to be competing. I think Drake's going to be even the favorite in the Pioneer, or I think they are, I guess.
Yep.
And we absolutely annihilated Drake. But now these two, even 35-7 against a non-scholarship, does not look that good. So that's where I'm getting my claim from. But we can dive into it a little more. You guys want to talk USD offense versus UNI defense, or do you want to switch it to the other side first?
Well, let's start with this real quick. The spread, right? The spread came out,
Yeah.
and it was the FCS Reddit spread was what 34, and Vegas opened at 33.5.
Mm-hmm.
Just quick thoughts on that.
Yeah, initially that just didn't make a ton of sense to me, right? I mean, we're talking about a spread against Murray State that was 28. I think spread against Drake was also similar to that. So to have another Missouri Valley Conference foe be that big of a have it be that big of a spread didn't make sense to me. I would have thought it was going to come out somewhere around 18, maybe upwards as 20, maybe as low as 17. But that one is still kind of a head scratcher for me. But again, we've seen this team operate this year. For them to win by 30 plus points would not shock
Right.
anybody listening here, right? I mean,
Right.
that's just
At
the
all.
reality of it. Especially at home at Dakota Days, should have a big crowd. The stars are aligning for a good, successful Saturday for the Yotes, in my opinion.
Hey, not just at the Dome, but rocking the All Blacks again too. So
Yeah, I was shocked by that.
I was too.
yeah, let's do our little old man's rant real quick on this, and then we'll get into the game because I think we're all in the same boat. Surprisingly,
Yeah, I would agree. I think typically we're used to seeing it's D-Days, you got to wear the reds, right?
Mhm.
And I'm actually a
Mhm.
big fan of wearing all red on D-Day. So again, in the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't matter if that's what the guys are excited about. Let them make the call. I assume that's who kind of makes the call, the team in some fashion. So
Mhm.
big picture, it really doesn't matter. But the grumpy old man at me yelling at the clouds is saying, "Let's get the Reds on," right?
Yeah. It's typically been traditional on D-Days,
Mhm.
so I'm excited though. I tell you what, I love seeing those black jerseys in the opening game, and I'm more
Mhm.
than happy to see them come back. But I was very shocked.
Yeah. Surprisingly, I'm 100% shocked on it too, and I'm not going to call it frustrated because it's also just jerseys too and a helmet.
Yeah.
Right.
But it was shocking. It feels weird. I'm a huge advocate for uniforms because I know when players look good, they feel good, they play
Right.
good. It's
Right.
really how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
But it
I
just
th-
kind of came out of nowhere.
I think we all agree though. It's whatever the players want. If that's what makes them feel good, play good, then let's do it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean we're all in the same boat. Shocking, but
Hmm.
at the end of the day, we truly don't care because the players are happy, and I just want to see a win.
Right.
Exactly right.
All right, now we can get into the game.
All right. Sounds good. I think
So
that's a good spot.
USD offense is undoubtedly insanely awesome. I'm trying to find
Yeah.
exactly how to say it statistically, but when you have not just the leading rusher in the Missouri Valley, but the second leading rusher as well, and a backup quarterback that can take it 80 yards plus, it's insane.
Dude. Yeah. And we're averaging what 40? I was just looking at this 40.2 points per game.
Hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
eighth
Yeah,
best. That's eighth best in the FCS out of 130-ish schools.
I was just going to say that it's looking at some of the numbers because now we've finally got, call it 5 games to kind of take some data from. Really, we're in the top, 15% of every offensive metric. Oh, and by the way, it's the same for the defense, right? The metrics for whether it's total defense, scoring defense, scoring offense, total offense, however you want to measure that,
Mm-hmm.
where you click through that and there's the USD paw on every single front page of the top 15% of FCS schools. So we've talked about it. They're running on all cylinders. I think for Saturday, the game plan, of course, is going to be we're going to go to the run game. Right? It's been so successful. How could you not go to it? Right.
Right.
On the flip side of that, Mitch, you mentioned this earlier this week. UNI's run defense is actually pretty good. All things considered. I'm not going to say it's elite, but it's good, and that's not surprising when you think about UNI and Farley.
So yeah, historically that's what they're known for, right? Big physical defense, good at stopping the run, and they're rated 22nd in FCS compared to us, and we know we can stop the run. We're 16 for comparison's sake, so very similar there on stopping the run. And the only thing I'll call out on that is looking at their defensive line. They're small. They're not big, 280-pound guys like we have on our defensive line. They're smaller, so they're similar to, I don't want to say Drake, but they're similar-ish to Drake on the defensive line. They're not big guys, but they are good at stopping the run.
Yeah, and so I was just taking a look at this too. Yes, they are only allowing 100 and almost 118 yards per game, which sounds really good.
Mm-hmm.
But they're allowing 4.4 yards a carry. So that's also something to think about.
Yeah, and there's something to be said about that. It seems like teams, when they play them, really are kind of abandoning the run to a certain extent. Actually, South Dakota State last week kind of did that, where didn't have a ton of success running the ball. I would say probably less than they were anticipating.
Oh yeah,
they just moved away from the run game and then just crushed them on the pass game, right? I think SDSU, they went. I think the total passing yard was like 250 for 3 touchdowns through the air. So makes me think too. I think teams, if they're not having that success, and again, I'm sure Mitch, you probably have the stats up, but UNI is one of the worst pass defenses in the country for that reason. So it makes me think, as coaches are watching this game plan, they're going, okay, there's some big opportunities for us to pass the ball against this defense.
Yeah, exactly. They're rated 90th in pass defense, so that's their weakness on defense. And the beautiful thing is, right, we have an awesome running game, which we've all seen, but we can also throw the ball. We've proven that now in the last couple of weeks. We've been kind of begging for it. We finally got to see it the last 2 weeks, and so I don't think it's going to matter. I think we're putting up points regardless.
Yep. Now, I was taking a look at it, and I watch. Unfortunately, I did have to put the bunnies on my TV just so I could. I was studying UNI though. It was not to watch the bunnies. Where they had success in the passing, they went extremely generic. It almost looked like they were playing the same playbook they had for Augie and those warm-up games that they had at the beginning of the season. It was just simple post routes and screens. The thing that surprised me the most for UNI's defense, they were fantastic getting sideline to sideline on the outside screen passes, but they were so susceptible to screens right up the middle to the running back acting like he's blocking and then pushes downfield a little bit. I mean, SDSU scored what I think it was a 40-plus yard touchdown just on a simple running back screen. So I think it's really easy to stack yards and points against them in whatever way we really want to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's kind of interesting, I think you guys bring up a great point, is that to that point, UNI still going to have to really honor the run game that we have, because that's really what we're going to go to first, right? So they're put in a tough position, as every team will be, right? It's okay, are we going to bring some folks up and stack the box to stop this run game that can get going and put you out of the game quickly if you don't get under control? Well, now all of a sudden you've left some pretty darn good wide receivers on the outside available, and Bauman's been putting the ball where he needs to here. So they're in a tough spot in coming into a hostile environment like the Dome on D-days. It's going to be a tough position for them for sure.
I dare UNI to put 8 in the box. I'm begging for it, because then you're just going to get, well, we can work the boundaries as much as we want with Karan, Jack, and Carter. But then you got JJ in the middle. There is no place safe for them in reality. And that's what I actually noticed quite well that with their defense on their passes, they guarded the boundary really well. They guarded the skinny side of the field well, but the wider side of the field, they struggled. The moment anything was in space, it was over for them.
Yeah, their
So
their corners are not good. Their defensive
Yeah.
backs are not good.
So, and I'm already going to give you the key player of the game for me, but I think Keandre Jones-Logan might have one of the biggest games of his career because we're going to get him in space. We just got to get him around that edge and work north and south instead of running to the boundary.
Yeah, that's the other problem for UNI is how many weapons we have, right? I mean, it's again, it's just
Exactly.
gushing and gushing, right? But there's so many different folks that you have to keep track of if you're UNI's defense. And you know, to your point, Jake, it's, you know, Keandre Jones-Logan is a guy that could go crazy in a game like this on just a few touches. You know, I initially thought JJ could provide some pretty good mismatches for us from that secondary too. If he gets, you know, if like we said, the secondary's been struggling all year, so to have a tight end that is just as fast as the safety running is can certainly be a problem. So I think there's a lot of mismatch opportunities out there. Just a matter of how we want to attack and how we want to game plan. And I have full faith in the coaching staff's going to get that, you know, squared away and has been working on that all week. So.
Yep. Mitch, you got anything else on the offense? You're our stats man, so
I don't think. Well, so here I'll give you this real quick. So I made some notes on our guys just to this point in the season. Right, we're a handful of games in now, and just a couple words. So Aiden, I have efficient. He's been playing really efficient. KJL and Karan, they've proven they're explosive. You got Tice and Pierre Jr., they're pounders, right? Just pounding that rock, breaking. I mean, literally breaking one or two tackles every time they touch the ball. Bell and Galbraith, they're just reliable targets. And then our O-line and one of my favorite players, actually, he's kind of unsung hero, is Hayden Erickson, a transfer from Utah. He's a tight end, but he is in there to block. I tell you what, he's been doing a really nice job helping get that push up front. So look for him. I think he's number 46, I think. But yeah, just looking at that offense, like we said, there's a ton of weapons. We're getting a big push up front. We're basically able to do whatever we want to whoever we want to this point. So it's going to be the chess match of their good run defense versus our, you know, stellar offense. And what do they choose to take away? If they choose to take away the run, let's see us throw the ball, you know, and you know, and just attack them with whatever they give us.
Yeah. And one thing I want to preface all of this by, do not overthink that score that UNI had against SDSU. I think it was 41-3. Is that where it ended?
41-7 or 41-3. That sounds right.
Yeah, there was 4 turnovers by UNI. 2 of them ended up at their own within the red zone. So they were they only had 20 yards to go. Another was a blocked punt for a touchdown, and the other one ended in a field goal.
Right.
So we can't compare exactly to what SDSU did. I mean, good teams are lucky because they put in the effort. Luck is just reward for their effort, kind of thing. And maybe we can see something similar. But don't be disappointed if we don't do 41-3 like they did.
Right.
Because we didn't get quite as lucky on the turnovers.
And I was just about to say this. I was thinking about this week as well. It's weird to say, but I think this will be the best defense we've gone up against this year. I think we are all anticipating SIU's defense was going to be similar to last year's, and that's just not the case. And it seems like the wheels are kind of falling off for them, unfortunately, just with injuries, you know, kind of leading the way. But after kind of just dominating them, I think this will be the best defense that we've seen outside of Wisconsin, of course, but I'm talking FCS level. But I think this will be the best defense that we've seen actually since Wisconsin. So I'm curious to see what that looks like as well. But Jake, you're exactly right. I think some of those points that that SDSU scored last week were manufactured mostly out of UNI mistakes rather than, what they were doing. But to your point, good teams capitalize on those.
Exactly. I do think it comes down to, honestly, the first 3 possessions for both teams.
Mm-hmm.
What, the last 3 games, we've gone out to a 21-0 lead.
I mean, yeah, it's been over by the end of the first quarter, early second quarter. We've jumped out so fast on teams. We just run away with it. And I do have a feeling we do that in this game because it is D-Days. These guys are going to come out. The crowd's going to be absolutely electric. I just think that's going to happen all over again.
The dome is looking fantastic. There are still green dots, but I think we might be under 800 available seats, actually, at this point. So, keep doing it. I do want to say this conversation on the offense versus defense went a little longer than I thought it would. I think it's time for a quick water break. What are you guys thinking?
Sounds good.
Sounds like a great idea.
Okay. And you guys know with D-Days, it's not water. Who drinks water on homecoming? I think it's time we introduce our special guests and bring them out and bring out the creators of XIX Brewing and the new Coyote Legacy beer. What do you guys think?
I think that's a great idea.
100%.
All right, we'll get to USD's defense versus UNI's offense later. But right now, I want to welcome Ed and Katie, the owners of XIX Brewing. Welcome, guys.
Hello. That was one smooth transition, I must say.
That's where I put all my effort in, is transitions to keep these guys on pace.
I love it.
And coming to us straight from the brewery.
Yeah, look at that.
2 different locations give you the vibe. Ed, you're muted.
Let's get Ed
unmuted there.
Let's get him unmuted there.
I should know how to do this.
There we go.
Use Zoom for years. Yep. So yeah,
welcome,
we have the brewery in the background if you're watching on the video, and here in the brew area with Kyle Legacy in my hand.
Oh my goodness!
Drink while I was listening to you all.
I'm going to be honest with you. I stopped in and chatted with you on Wednesday. Got everything prepped for this, and those beers have been sitting in my fridge, just taunting me. I've wanted to crack it so bad, and I never did. I didn't crack any of the 4, but I did crack open that Vermcat Disco Sour.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't last long. That was fantastic.
Yeah, that's a good
that one's a crowd favorite.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Should we do a live taste test here since we haven't had this yet?
I think so. We'll
crack it open right in the mic.
Okay. And then we're going to get into what got you guys going on all this. So,
love the energy.
Oh, yeah. And you know what?
Ooh.
I had to break out. I had to show some support. You can't really read it. I got my XIX Brewing cup too, so we can do a full pour on it. I am actually going to see if I can take away my background. And
I don't know if you'll be able to see the
Nope.
glass I've got
cute.
here.
Nice.
Yep,
Old school Charlie.
Some old school Charlie. Yep, absolutely.
I love
But
it.
yeah, same to Jake. I've been dying to try this thing. They've just been sitting there staring at me in the fridge today.
So I got to bring it up because we already talked about it a little bit. But the can says a blonde ale.
Mm.
And I don't know about you, but this looks like a redhead. So what's going on with that?
Yeah. Yeah, it's got a little ginger in it. The blonde is the style. That's what it comes from. But the color comes from, crazy enough, it comes from carrots and black currant. So it comes from berries and from carrots.
Nice.
But the idea was to get the most color in there, red, USD red color in there without adding a lot of that berry flavor to it. So that was the idea. So it's still a blonde ale. It's not going to taste like a fruited beer for the most part. It'll be a little bit in there, but that's the genesis of that.
So Ed, I worked in QA in the food industry for 10 years, and I can tell you it's not overpowering. It's actually just a hint.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
I'm nervous. So we have a food industry QA guy drinking the beer live on the podcast.
I'm not going to be doing any audits, so we're good. We're just doing taste testing.
All right, so Mitch, let's get your first impressions on this. How you liking that?
So I am a light beer, blonde beer. I'm your Miller Lite, Bush Light, Bud Light. That's my beer. So for me, this is perfect. And the fact that it's red, I mean, that's just bonus points.
Yeah, we just want to be on theme.
Yeah, no, I like it. It goes down smooth and tastes great.
All right, and
Yeah.
Grant, what are you thinking?
Well, it's I haven't met a lot of beers that I don't like. So because of that, I really like to try unique, different, more craft beers because of that, right? So this is really good. It's easy to drink. That flavor is not overpowering that you were talking about with the carrots. It's very good. It's actually going down a little too easy, which that might be a little bit concerning, especially come Saturday. But it's fantastic. It's fantastic.
It's D-Days. This is your weekend to indulge, right?
Oh,
Yes.
man.
That's right. If ever a weekend, this is the one.
All right, so I will say, first impressions, the can had a heck of a crack to it. It had the perfect beer can crack, so that was good. But I'm on the same page as Mitch. Solid Bud Light, Coors Light, Busch Light. That's just me. It's easy to drink. It's quick. But this is good. This is really good.
It is.
The red throws me off because, I've had the red ales before. And so, you take a first drink as you're staring at it in the glass. You're like, this doesn't taste like what you expect it to taste like.
Mm-hmm.
But it's smooth, and I can see myself getting in trouble with it at tailgate.
Coyote Nation's going to love this. In fact, you may sell out this weekend.
We tried. We made as much as we could. Yeah.
Well, good.
All right. So speaking on that, how much did you guys end up making for D-Days?
I lost track somewhere in the 6-hour mark of making cans of beer, but it was somewhere in the neighborhood of like 60 something cases of beer. And we sold a lot of it is at the liquor store.
Okay.
Those people who spent time in Vermilion know the one liquor store, right?
Yeah.
Municipal liquor store.
Mhm.
So we have plenty over there. And we'll have some on campus for if you come back for any alumni events. It's been at some alumni events. So yeah, that's where we've had it. And then the rest we're selling here at the brewery. So we'll have a lot. People want to pick it up. We're right downtown. I mean, we're right on Main Street, right off the main strip, right with all the bars. So we're right there. If you're going to come down, and might as well pick one up on your way through to go out to tailgate at the Dome.
Yeah, and you're open at what, 8 a.m. on Saturday?
3 or 4 of them.
Yeah, 8 a.m.
So folks can pick it up, before the parade even, because the parade's at 9. So folks can pick it up and have it ready to go.
Put it in your car. Get ready for tailgate.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys are right at the head of the parade, right? Right
The
where
end.
it starts?
And yep.
And okay, I got it backwards. So jump off your float, jump in to XIX.
We're building floats here all weekend. So before the parade, tomorrow before the weekend. So yeah, we'll have it all going on.
That's awesome.
So
That's good.
I do want to say, with this, I got really excited seeing an USD logo on a beer can. Like that really got me excited. And that's why I wanted to reach out to you guys, see if we could get a little partnership on this going.
Yeah, and
but then there's more to it.
It's a good looking. It's a good looking label too.
Yeah.
It's a good looking label.
That's all Katie. She's the design eye. I've nothing. I'm so bad. I'm just like, it would be a stick man drawing or something if they were made. It's terrible.
Just write beer on it.
Yeah, it could happen.
Most importantly, that's what's in the can. No, my favorite part of the can is the made in Vermilion part. Like, I just love bringing attention to where USD is and where the brewery is. It's fun.
And my favorite part of the can, I'll tell you, is that we were giving back to student scholarships. It says right there on the can.
Yes.
So a portion.
Okay, well, that sounded a lot more generous.
Oh,
I like that part too.
I like both of them. Both parts are fantastic.
And that's really what we wanted to do.
So we do have an official partnership with the university. Both Katie and I don't know if we mentioned yet, and we should have, are both alumni of USD and also work at USD. So so our other hat is that we're there. And so both of us felt really strongly that we wanted to have a partnership, but that partnership was to give back to student scholarships. And the biggest thing is, so I know as a faculty member that, and I take students on trips and programs using a different fund, that like this I don't know what you call it, like unrestricted money to the foundation to give back to student scholarships is like the most powerful thing you can do for student scholarships, because it's like they have the most bandwidth to do the most interesting and creative things, especially like 30 years from now. We have no idea, right, what's going to be the best thing to do for students. So my favorite part of that is like giving back to this really important part of that allows the students to have good experiences in Vermilion at USD, go off and be leaders in the world and all of that. And and so we're doing our little part to do that. And you get to drink beer while you contribute to that. So you really can't go wrong there.
No. So are you in international studies, or what do you teach?
Close. Yeah, I'm in political science. I teach our public administration program, and I take students to Washington, D.C. I've done a few years. I'm doing it again this summer. And
nice.
so I use a fund that's for those sort of programs. And so this will be hopefully do some similar work with the foundation to use some money for, student travel and scholarships.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
And I guess for anybody listening that isn't familiar, how did you guys get the brewery started, or what kind of motivated you to do that? Curious to hear that story a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, we have been working on it since summer of 2021, and we're approaching our 1-year anniversary in just 3-ish weeks, which is really exciting. So it's definitely not like a quick process by any means. We spent our time really putting our energy into like what would make this successful, and does the community really need it? So Ed's wife Leslie is part owner of Cow and Spoon and the Bean in town, and we just kind of gotten an offhand conversation about how Vermilion needs a brewery, how Ed's been brewing, how I would like to own a bar in town. I worked at the Varsity when I was getting my master's, and I was like, I think bars, and specifically breweries too, when you get kind of beyond each individual type of bar, right, just can bring a unique sense of community to towns. And what I keep saying is like the aesthetic of who goes to a brewery is literally the town of Vermilion. Like the people who live here are like who would go to one. And so we just started working through it, and about 2 years later we were ready to open doors, which is kind of crazy.
Yep.
And I will say, go ahead, Ed.
No, I was going to say is I needed somebody who wanted to work the staff and do social media, because I don't want to do any of that. I'm happy to make beer, and I love doing that and set it all up. We hired because we were both full time at the university. We have a head brewer who does all of our day to day, which is fantastic. But being part of that creative process and making like interesting beer, interesting flavors, bringing those to the community has been really, really fun to have people try different things. And the cool thing about breweries sometimes like you make a beer and it's there for a couple months and then it's gone, never come back again.
Right.
And that's one thing I've really enjoyed about it. That sort of, that nature of breweries, of this creative process.
And then on the flip side, I kept saying, I can't do the brewing side. I got a C twice in chemistry, and just kind of always thought that was a funny joke until I literally saw our brewer watching yeast interact in a microscope. And I was like, oh no, I really can't brew. I got a C in chemistry twice. So our partnership works for interests and talents.
That's fantastic. And so I got to check out your guys' place a little bit when I stopped in and chatted with Ed. You guys aren't just doing beer. There's some food there too as well, right?
Yeah, we're working with Sonny's Pizzeria in Sioux Falls right now. So they're really awesome. They work with a bunch of breweries in the region and reach out to each of us every week and then hand make all of the pizza. So it's as fresh as you can get for then freezing and reserving it. But they have really unique flavors and just really fun combinations. They've been a great partner. Just to bring some food to the brewery, we have goals of expanding into a small kitchen sooner rather than later, but having a frozen pizza situation can keep people here a little bit longer and have a good snack while you're here drinking.
Exactly.
And the other thing cool they do too is the food trucks, right? I've noticed that with a lot of the small town breweries, they're bringing in food trucks. Like in my neck of the woods, I'm next to Jefferson, which I know you guys partner with the Jefferson Brewing Company, and it's so cool. And then to have the food trucks there once in a while is just a nice treat.
Yeah, and it's fun to just bring in something different. I mean, I think a strength of Vermilion is the quality of food we have here, but just with the size of town, obviously we're going to be limited in how many restaurants we can support. And so just being able to bring in different options every once in a while is nice for sure.
Yeah, the food selection, that's always our go-to in our interviews. We always ask people their favorite restaurant. So we're not going to put you guys on the spot since you have food as well, but this is absolutely fantastic. I'm definitely swinging by before tailgate on Saturday to make sure I have some extras for this, because for a micro, I've always struggled with them. I can't put them away quickly. I'm kind of concerned at how quickly this one's going down.
Yeah, we wanted it to be drinkable. We know what happens at tailgate and wanted an easy to drink light beer.
Yeah,
So,
and that was been our
you
biggest
asked-
goal, is making sure that we, we both of us are alumni. We know what D-Days is all about. We know what, how this weekend sometimes go down. Good decisions are made. Very bad decisions are made. So try to keep it more on the good decision side.
The can says, please drink responsibly.
That's
Yes,
right. That's
yes.
right.
We want
Drink
that.
responsibly, absolutely.
That's right.
But
Yeah.
it's nice to have a local craft beer that can, get into the D-Day spirit of supporting Coyote football and athletics and university, but also, being easy to drink and something. And if you're carrying around a red beer at tailgate, you're going to get questions. And if they haven't heard about it, they're going to ask you about it. So make sure to bring your classic cup so people know how to
We'll just drink out of the can.
or the can. That's
Oh yeah.
We fully plan on doing that.
I'm rocking the can for sure on Saturday. It looks great. There's going to be a lot of questions about it, no doubt. So I will say I'm extremely jealous that this did not exist when I was going to school, because I would have spent
it's a good thing it didn't exist.
That's right. You know what? You're probably right, Jake. That's exactly right. It's a good thing it didn't, for my sake. But no, I think what you guys are doing is so great for the community. I think I've mentioned on the show before, I grew up in Vermilion, so went to school there. So Vermilion's kind of a special place to me, and I think exactly what you said, what you're doing with the brewery and how that fits in with Vermilion is spot on. So I have no doubt you guys are going to be very successful with this. So very, very cool to see.
Awesome. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, guys.
So I do want to ask too, before we let you guys go on this, are you doing anything for tailgate? Is there anywhere Coyote fans can find you at tailgate?
So the universities actually, instead of doing like a president's tailgate this year, they did sponsored faculty and staff tailgates. And then the foundation purchased Coyote Legacy beer for all of those sponsored tailgates. So those will all have it. I'll give a shout out. I work at the law school, and Meyer Henry Sargent always does a really outstanding law school tailgate. But the law school is donating a keg of Coyote Legacy to that as well.
Ooh.
Nice.
And hopefully it's everywhere. Hopefully everyone just comes in and gets their beer and goes out. But I think you'll just kind of see it sporadically around for sure.
Okay.
Well, we have just less than 48 hours, Jake. We'll help spread the word.
There you go.
Oh yeah. And I do want to say to all of our listeners that are either listening on the way to the game or are watching us live, if you stop in to grab a case, be sure to say Back to Pack brought you. I want to see how many people we can actually get in the doors for you.
Yeah, that's true. I know a lot of listeners do like to listen. I've had quite a few people tell me that. They say, "Oh yeah, I always download the podcast, listen to it on the drive down." Right. If they're coming from Sioux Falls, and so
prepared.
Exactly, they'll add it to the checklist and say, "Ooh, I have an extra stop to make before I hit
there
the tailgate."
You go. Well, and if anyone's coming down to D-Days just the hour before their game, they haven't done it right. So
That's right. That's right.
Exactly. All right, so I think that's all for you guys. Okay. But I am not going to let you leave until we get a score prediction.
Oh,
what are you guys thinking? USD versus UNI.
Well, I was going to joke. I was saying I think USD is going to give up more than its season average against FCS opponents, and maybe less than its season average in offense. So I'm going 42-6 USD.
All right.
Okay. Love that.
I got the stats from Mitch, so I mean that's how I know. Yeah,
let's go. That'd be a nice big win on D-Days, and after the game, we're all going to celebrate down at your place at 19 Brewing.
Yes, I'm not good.
Drink one beer for each point.
Maybe each score, like touchdown or field goal. We'll do that instead.
All right, and you, Katie?
Oh gosh, and I go to every game. Like I know we've really done well this season. I'm just gonna go. I'm not copying it. I'm gonna go 33-7.
Okay. I like it.
I like that.
Random.
It's good.
That's good.
I would take it.
Very real score. I like it.
And Yotes, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
I will say, just a heads up, if your score prediction is too poor, you do get teased. So apologies again to you, Yo fan. We're bringing it up one more time. This is the last time we're going to make fun of your score prediction on it, but he's doing better now. He already put his prediction up there as well. He's at 45-17. So
all right,
he's learning.
Good stuff.
All right. Well, thanks for having us. We appreciate
thank you guys
it.
so much. We'll see you Saturday.
Yeah, we'll see you Saturday.
Yeah, thanks for your time. I know you guys are busy.
Yes, thanks so much, and go Yotes.
Go Yotes.
All right, that was fun.
That was awesome.
I'm really excited that we were able to do that with them. I really look forward to seeing how many Coyote fans walk in and say back to pack brought you in.
Right.
I think that's going to be huge because if it goes well, I think we have a partnership that we can definitely check out in the future.
Yeah,
and this this one's right in our wheelhouse. I mean, it's beer. What
two of
more
my
do we
favorite
need?
things. I like talking about football and I like drinking beer. So
That's right.
It's
I'm not joking. Like it's going down
man.
way too smooth. So
I'm with you. It's empty.
the can's upside down, guys.
Wow.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mitch,
Well,
you're not even tilting all the way back.
I'm trailing behind here. Hey, these are 16-ounce cans, which is nice, by the way.
that is true.
Yes.
That is true.
All right. Back to football here. Let's finish this up.
That was a good halftime. That was fun. So yeah, let's talk a little USD defense versus UNI offense.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start because I was actually just kind of thinking about this as we were talking, but interesting enough, UNI also really wants to run the ball, which is again not surprising with what UNI has done historically. I was thinking about their offense, and you think about this tough road that they've had to hoe here in the last 3 weeks, and I was looking at it and I go, gosh, UNI just, they're looking for a get it right game, and unfortunately for them, it's not happening in the Dakota Dome on Saturday, right?
Nope.
And if you look further down the schedule, it's not happening next week for them in Grand Forks either. I mean, the schedule they have is brutal, but unfortunately for them, if they want to continue to run the ball and that's where they want to try to really get things going, from what we've seen this year, they're just not going to have success at the Dome with that. I mean, they're not going to have a lot of success with that. And without getting too far ahead of ourselves, the passing game that UNI's produced so far this year is nothing of significance. So I'll be interested to see what the game plan is for them. I would be stunned if they had success running the ball against us, just knowing that we're going to really clamp down on that and make them pass. We want them to pass the ball.
Right.
And I think, unfortunately, for UNI's quarterback, this may be one of the best secondaries that they're going to go against as well. So it's not a good formula for their offense that's already struggled. I mean, one of the worst scoring offenses in the country. I think they're 120 out of 123 FCS teams, which is just abysmal, right? You think of some of the non-scholarship teams that are typically in that range. So
their offense is literally anemic. Like they're allergic to scoring touchdowns, and that's not just me saying that as a Yote fan. Like just looking at their entire body of work thus far.
So I'll tell you this: I'm looking at it. They have you guys want to guess how many touchdowns they scored in their season?
5 or 6. I don't know. It can't be many. No, it's probably more than that. 7 or 8.
Or Grant?
I was going to say I was looking at the stats. I think it's probably 7 or 8, but I think about 5 of them came in one game against Valpo. But you probably know.
They have scored 8 touchdowns, and now I will say Mitch put this stat in there for us. They've only thrown 3 passing touchdowns, and all 3 of them came against Valparaiso.
Oh my goodness!
Right, I think that's what your note said.
Yeah, and their quarterback's also thrown 3 interceptions, so he strikes fear into nobody. So if we can stop the run game, this game's over, and it's over early.
Yeah, to your point, the offense scoring, like we said, scoring offense is just truly anemic at this point. I would say the one silver lining for this offense is that, oddly enough, their total offense or yards that they actually put up on offense are not as terrible as the scoring offense, statistics are. So they have this weird ability to move the ball, kind of, right? I'm not saying they're doing it at a high level by any means, right? But let's call it an average to below average. They're moving the ball. They're just not finding ways to put points on the board. So, I think back to the Nebraska game. I watched UNI and Nebraska play, and they could move the ball with yards against Nebraska, and then it would flatline. They even had a drive that I think went on for like 10 minutes against Nebraska that they were moving the chains over and over again, and no points. Very strange.
Yep.
Right.
And I think that's just what Power 5 teams do to a team that they are better than.
Mm-hmm.
Because Iowa State did the same thing to UND. UND had a 12-minute drive.
Yeah.
But they kicked the field goal. I think the good teams like that just go into a very base defense and just trying to feel out how their players react to situations. So I wouldn't overthink that 10-minute drive too much in a sense. And also, it was one drive too on that. I was taking a look. Yeah, it's crazy. This offense that they have, 8 touchdowns. We had 7 rushing touchdowns against Murray State.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and we haven't even talked about our defense yet. Our defense just pitched a shutout. We're giving up 3 points a game here and there. I mean, this defense is so dialed in right now and is good at stopping the run. I think this just sets up really well for the Oats.
It really does.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you're a coach for UNI, you're kind of scratching your head at what the strategy is, right? I think you have to, I'm fully think that UNI is going to go to the run game and try to make that work. I just don't think they're going to have any success doing it. I just don't see a scenario where that works out for them based off of what we've seen this year. I was actually a former Yote player that I went to school with. He was harassing me last week about my score prediction when I said 49-20. He goes, I can't believe, you said that Murray State was going to score 20 points. He goes, you've lost all credibility in my book, right? So, and it's true. I mean, they shut him out, which is just, as we talked on earlier this week, it's so hard to do, regardless of opponent.
Yes.
Well, and I'm guilty too. I said 13. So we saw the UND Murray State score was like 72-35, and it made us a little nervous. So what do we say?
And I think, them scoring 35 on UND, that was impressive. And those plays were explosive. And I think it scared everyone a little bit into, okay, one slip up here, something could happen. And I mean, really, when it comes down to it, they weren't close to winning the game by any means, but they were close to scoring once. And they made a stupid mistake. And that's what the lesser opponents will do. They're going to make a stupid mistake. And that's exactly what you and I did last week. The team that rushes, pushes hard, trying to do whatever they can because they got to slay, Goliath on it. You're always going to make mistakes on that. And I don't think they right their ship against this defense.
No.
So,
that's exactly right. It's you and I need to, get it right game, and it's certainly not coming this Saturday for them, unfortunately. So it's this defense, I think, will continue to excel. Right, that front seven has been as good as any, and as long as we clamp down on the rush defense, I don't have a lot of concerns for this defense, especially on the turf in the dome.
The only thing that scares me, guys, about UNI, we've talked about their defense and their offense now. The only thing that scares me is this is a make or break game for them. This is an absolute must win. If they lose this game, their season is done. Like, stick a fork in it, it's done. It's just that's really the only thing that scares me is what tricks are they going to pull out of the bag, right? Because they're going to have to do something to create a spark and take us, the fans, out of it. And if we jump out early like we think we will, like, the game's going to be over in short order, like the other games we've seen in the Dome this year. But if it flips the other way and they do get some confidence and create a spark early, then I think this turns into a classic UNI USD dogfight where it's going to be, two guys throwing heavy punches at each other. But I just don't want to. I don't want to see it get there, and B, I don't think it will get there.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I think you're right. That's really the only caveat is that their backs are against the wall. Mm-hmm. They're going to do anything and everything they can to get on the board early, to try to take the crowd out of it, and a desperate team's a dangerous teams at times, but to your point, I think we're just playing at such a higher level than what UNI is right now. And, to Jake's point earlier, a loss here effectively probably ends the season. And then, the fans maybe over in Iowa start to look up and say, hey, is it time for us to maybe look elsewhere coaching wise? But that's a whole nother conversation for later in the season.
Right.
And the best part is that's not our conversation to have.
No.
So
Not at all.
I will say this. I want you guys to just kind of think back. And Mitch, were you here for the SAU pregame? Did we have you for that one?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I want you guys to think about that and what we talked about there and here. Are you hearing a lot of the same things we said for the SAU to this one?
Yeah.
How cool does it feel to be the hunted? Now, like, we are top dogs in this conference. Statistically, we are 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and now you got these teams, SAU, fantastic history, UNI, fantastic history. They both are in a downward trend for the season, and they're looking at us as being that signature win.
Right.
Fortunately for UNI, just so you guys know, Bob's never lost on D-Days. You know,
Love
so
that.
and it's not going to start.
I actually did not know
Saturday.
that. Thank you for that.
Yeah. So with that, you know, we've been fantastic on D-Days, and now we're number 4 in the nation and on D-Days. It's going to be a disaster for them.
With revenge on our mind, by the way.
Oh, we haven't even talked about that.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm, no doubt.
So
no doubt.
We owe them one.
Yes, and you know, we can talk. Let's talk a little bit about that revenge, and we'll get key players and our prediction. 58-14 on our home field to end the season.
That was an ugly day in Coyote football history.
Yeah, I think
that was a dark day.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably one of the worst games to experience as a fan in the Dome, in my opinion. I think a lot of people thought that was a reset button game for this program, right?
Yep.
I think a lot of people were calling for Bob to be fired, right? I mean, plenty of people said enough's enough. Yep.
I was in that camp.
Yeah, I was. I wasn't quite sold, but I would say a majority of folks I talked to were in that boat, right? To say, hey, let's move on. I was. I could have been swayed either way at the time, but certainly as you're walking out of the Dome that day, you said, blow this thing up. This stinks. I don't want to ever see this again. So if, you know, I think there's a lot of players on the team that remember that game, right? I mean, it has only been 2 seasons ago that happened. So those players don't, you know, we don't forget about as fans. So, you know, those players don't forget a game like that either. So if to that point, if you get into conference play, you never take it easy on an opponent regardless, but this is not an opponent that's going to get any mercy from us in any fashion too if things get ugly.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things, you know, foot on throat, apply pressure.
Yep.
And I never want to see anybody get fired, but I want to put a nail in UNI's season, 6th game into the season.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So with that, yeah, revenge. You got me heated. My face is turning a little red from that.
Good. The juices are flowing.
The revenge, the beer. Jake's starting to turn into a little tomato over there.
I'm ready to go. I'm with you.
No, that, and maybe it's the dye getting to me, and the carrots coming through and start turning red. But no,
they're good for your eyes. You're all right.
Yeah, coming from the guy wearing glasses here. Sorry. All right, but I will say, thinking back to it, it was the turning point too. It was a blessing of a game. I think it definitely got us going. It put a very bad taste in their mouth, and then of course we got another bad taste in the mouth at the end of the season last year. This team has so much to prove, even with being the hunted, being top 1 or 2 statistically in the Missouri, being number 4 in the nation. This is not even close to what this team wants to accomplish. And so I think they're going to send a message again, similar to what we saw against Southern Illinois.
That would be perfect.
Absolutely.
All right. So I think it's time to flip it up to key players. 1 offense, 1 defense. If you guys got it, I will allow offensive line to be 1 key player if that's where you guys are going. But Mitch, you're the star of the show. We got you back in, so we'll start with you.
Well, all right. You want me to give both offense and defense?
Yes.
All right.
And give your reason.
Offense, I'm going with the easy choice, and that's Travis Tice. This guy has been on a mission since this season started. We call him Grandpa Tice on this show and on Twitter, but he's been just absolute dynamite this year. And it seems like he's, as hard as he's ran in the past, it seems like he's taken it to another level this year. And so I look for him to continue that in this game and literally run people over and break tackles like we've seen him done, and dish out that revenge that we've been talking about. So he's mine on offense. Defense,
Yep.
Oh man, so this one's tough to pick, but I'm probably gonna go D line. I'm probably gonna go Nick Gase. He's due.
Okay.
He's due for
Good
a
one.
big game. Their offensive line is actually not good, which is really where all of their offensive problems. We talked about how terrible their offense is. That's where their issue starts. Is literally with the offensive line. So I think our defensive line is going to feast. And so I'm going to go Nick Gase as a key player because I think that he has a real opportunity to be very disruptive in this game.
Yeah, I like that. Those are good choices. Plus, Nick coming from Iowa as well, just a little extra incentive on there.
And on the team too when we got destroyed by UNI. So I think there's a lot of motivation there.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Grant, what do you feel?
Yeah. I would say offensively, I'm going to go with Aiden Bauman, QB1. The reason I say that is that I think UNI's run defense is going to be one of the better ones we've seen this year. UNI is going to want to force us to throw, which in my opinion is a bad decision to make, but I don't think they really have a choice. I don't think they can let the run game get away from them. So I think Aiden's going to have a big game. I really do. And I don't think it's going to be when I say big game, I don't think he's going to throw the ball 40 times. I think he's going to be efficient like he has been, but I think they're going to put him in situations where he's going to have the ability to throw the ball because they're simply making them, right? And if that's him calling an audible at the line and do a pass play, or we just get into some pass plays, I think he's going to have a big game and do really well. So he's my offensive key. The defensive one is for me is Dennis Shorter. He's been playing
that's a good one.
Such good football, especially
good.
over the last 3 games. I think again for us, as long as we stop that run, they're going to have to try to pass in some fashion, and we've seen the pass game for UNI not be successful. And Dennis Shorter is going to be a real big reason why they're not going to have success on Saturday as well.
Yeah. No, that's a fantastic one. All right, so I'm going to play with this a little bit. I watched UNI a few times. They are very susceptible to the run up the middle. I've seen a lot of teams get pushed up the middle. It's their abilities to guard the boundary, not let anybody get in space. That's how they slow people on the run. So I think, Tice, Pierre Jr. are going to have big games. But I think, with my key player, it comes down to, obviously, I said it earlier, Keandre Jones-Logan. And then I also want to say Carter Bell, too. And we need some players that can pull their defense out. And when that happens, it's going to open up everything in the run game. And then it's just a dagger in the back on them. On the defensive side, this one's a little different than what most have thought about. But it comes down to, I really expect a big game from Niall Dickel and our D-line / linebacker crew. So if you watch Niall, he's fun to watch. He's kind of like Grace, but I can't keep throwing him out as a key player. But he does change from a little bit on the linebacker side to the DN. And with a 6'4" running back in Ty Edwards, those guys are going to have to go to work.
He's what's he number? He wears number 8, plays that edge rusher spot. Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I do enjoy watching him, and he has really started to shine these last few weeks. He started coming out more. When we watched the Northern State game, I didn't see him nearly as much until really towards the end. Right. And then I saw him a little bit in the Wisconsin game, but he kind of disappeared. Then it was a lot in Drake, and then it was more in Southern Illinois, and he just keeps getting in there more. It's a person you can't keep off the field, even with the depth that we have at linebacker.
Yep.
All right.
And as I say, before we go to score prediction, Fan made a good point. Carter's due for a big game, 100%. I think we've seen the big plays from him so far this year, but what we haven't quite seen is the multiple big plays in the same game from Carter, which, to see him go over 100 yards receiving, multiple touchdowns, I don't think that would shock anybody who's been following USD football this year.
Yep, exactly. All right.
Yeah, and as we get to predictions, I'm gonna throw this up there. Don't forget about shout out Mark here. He said the jerseys are good for 4 points. So remember that when you're making your prediction here, fellas. Which I agree with him. I agree.
So just so you guys are aware, this is a buddy of mine. He is a coworker out of Illinois. He's a fan of the podcast, and I've slowly pulled him into USD games. So
love it.
I'm pretty excited about that. But now let's jump into our score predictions. Mitch, I'm going to keep putting you on the spot because we got you back.
Sure. I'll go first. So Katie threw out 33-6. And man, she was really close to what I actually had written down. I had 34-7. And the only reason I'm going 34 instead of in the 40s is because I do think their run defense slows us down ever so slightly.
Mm-hmm.
So 34-7.
Good.
Okay.
To be honest, I have a similar score prediction. I'm certainly not going to make the same mistake I made last week and say that this defense is going to give up 20 points. Certainly not in the dome. So my score prediction, I've got us 31-3.
Ooh, all right.
Okay.
It's kind of a similar deal. I think game flow, we're not going to score the 40, 45 plus point range there, although it's certainly possible. I just think the game flow will be a little bit slower based off of what we've seen from UNI. But I still think, obviously, with that score prediction, I predict a dominant win.
Yeah, no, you guys are in the right boat. I am going to call a big one here. I'm going to go with 38-0.
Oh my!
I actually believe in back-to-back shutouts on this. Statistically, the more and more I look at these guys, the more and more I am not scared of them at all. I think add that in, plus sending a message, plus revenge, plus D-Days, it can lead to a magical game. And the perk of our team being as old as they are and been through multiple D-Days, they're not going to let the overhype of the game itself, D-Days, black jerseys, get them too amped up. And It's really about holding your emotions steady, keeping it the same as what it was against Murray State. I do think UNI's defense is better than what we had from Murray State.
Oh, yeah.
But I think we're going to crush them. So
I like the confidence.
You know what? I'm gonna put something bold out there right now that you just said that. So pitched a shutout last week. We talk about how insanely hard that is. If USD pitches another shutout this week, which I think is very possible, I'll donate $100 to Alex's lemonade stand for Aiden.
There we go.
So there's a little extra motivation. I know they don't need it, but I'll add a little something to it there. So
I like it. No, that's putting your money where your mouth's at. It's a big time opportunity for them. So I'm excited for this. I do want to go through here real quick on the people that are watching, just so the recording gets it. We got Yote Fan putting out a prediction of 45-17. I don't think we're going to be able to give him a hard time on this one. I think it's still a good prediction, and I respect where his head's at on that one.
17 though, that's too much. That's too much. Too many. I've made that mistake like 4 weeks in a row. I'm not doing that again.
Why do you think I'm at 0? Like they can't go any lower than what I predict this time. Then 17. We got my buddy Mark out of Illinois. He cheated a little bit, uses Chat GPT. We got 35-10 from Chat GPT. AI knows what's up. USD's on top. We got Grandma Tappy in there, 38-17, and also complimenting Mitch on his Charlie head behind. So it is absolutely massive to anybody. And then last one, we got Grandpa Larry as well at 31-10.
We're all on the right track except for Yote Fan. He's still a little high on the UNI score.
At least he's got more confidence in the offense. He's learning.
That's
and
true.
We respect that.
Week by week. Hey, maybe by the end of the season he'll be there.
All right, perfect. Well, you guys got anything else you want to hit?
Nope, just it's D-Days. Couldn't be happier. Look forward to
D-Days.
seeing you guys and a bunch of other Coyote fans all day long. The parade, the tailgate, the game, downtown afterwards, everything.
And real quick, before we let Grant go, I will be walking around tailgate with 100 Jello shots.
Yes.
My goal, we raised $360. I'm gonna count Grant's donation of 100 if we hold him to zero to my number as well.
Absolutely.
But my goal with this much is gonna be $500 raised. I have some places I didn't hit that I know are going to be willing to help out on this. But please come find me. I am up in the northeast corner, right where the grass meets the curb, tailgating with Grandpa Larry there. Please come find me. And if you don't find me, my wife will be sitting there. Tell her to get a hold of me, and I will come back because I wander. So find me. Also, go to XIX Brewing. Try out this beer before I go and buy it out myself because it is fantastic. And when you get there, tell them Back the Pack sent you. I told them to keep count. They're on board with that. They want to know too. So please mention it. Yes, the can stands out. You're going to be the talking point of your tailgate when you show up with it. And the last thing, we got a lot of people watching here, but even if you're listening, be sure to check us out on YouTube at Back the Pack-SD and subscribe to us so we can continue to do this. Our goal is to get to 50 subscribers so we can go live from anywhere, not just at home. I don't know if you want to get me out of my basement or not, but that opportunity is there. And then now I'll throw it back to you, Grant, now. If you had anything else you wanted to add.
Oh, no, that's all I had. I was going to say, I just wanted to say I'm glad you plugged the Jello shot donation deal going on. So yeah, I agree with that. If you're a tailgate, find Jake, buy a Jello shot, donate to Alex's lemonade stand. Let's raise a bunch of money. If you're not familiar with that, we'll tell you about a tailgate. I don't want to get into it here because I know we're going long, but if you're not familiar with Alex Lemonade Stand, you can Google it, but we'll tell you about it if you're there. It's a great cause that donation goes to, and Aiden Bauman's a part of it. So, but like I said, we'll find you guys at tailgate, and as I've been saying all week, pack the dome, and we'll see you Saturday.
Perfect. Go Yotes.
Go Yotes.
Happy D-Days.
Happy D-Days.
D-Days.
We'll catch you guys later.